Rock and roll all night and party every day? Well, not quite. Today we're discussing how Kiss, the iconic rock band, may actually be revolutionizing the music industry even after their retirement.
Oh, that's an interesting take. What makes you say that?
Well, it's all about their latest move. Kiss just wrapped up their End of the Road tour, but they're not fading away. Instead, they're becoming the first US band to go fully virtual, with Avatar shows planned for 2027. It's a bold step that could redefine what it means to be a retired musician.
That's fascinating. So they're essentially creating digital versions of themselves to keep performing? How does that work exactly?
Exactly. They're using advanced technology to create lifelike digital avatars that can perform their classic hits. Imagine all the pyrotechnics and spectacle of a Kiss concert, but with eternally young, never tiring digital performers. It's like they've found a way to bottle their prime years and keep the show going indefinitely.
Hmm? That's pretty mind blowing when you think about it. But let's back up a bit. For those who might not be as familiar with Kiss, can you give us a quick rundown of their impact on rock music?
Absolutely. Kiss formed in New York City in 1973, and they quickly became known for their theatrical performances and distinctive look. We're talking elaborate costumes, face paint, and enough pyrotechnics to light up a small city. They weren't just a band, they were a full on spectacle.
Right. I remember seeing pictures of them in their heyday. It was like a comic book come to life on stage.
That's a great way to put it. And it wasn't just about the look. Their music, a blend of hard rock, glam, and shock rock, was incredibly influential. They've sold over 100 million records worldwide and have 30 gold albums to their name. But what really set them apart was their business savvy.
Oh? How so?
Well, Kiss was one of the first bands to really capitalize on merchandising. They put their name and logo on everything from lunchboxes to coffins. Yes, you heard that right. Kiss coffins. They turned their band into a brand long before it was common practice in the music industry.
Wow, talk about dedication to the brand. So, how did they manage to stay relevant for so long? I mean, we're talking about a career spanning 5 decades here.
That's a great question. I think it comes down to their ability to adapt and reinvent themselves. Take their unmasked era in the 1980s, for example. When their popularity was waning, they made the bold decision to perform without their iconic makeup. It was a huge risk, but it paid off, helping them stay relevant in the changing musical landscape of the 80s.
That makes sense. It's like they were always one step ahead, anticipating changes in the industry.
Exactly. And this move to digital avatars is just the latest example of that forward thinking approach. But let's talk about the music for a moment. Their breakthrough came with the live album Alive in 1975. It captured the raw energy of their performances and catapulted them to superstardom.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that album. It's electric. You can almost feel the energy of the crowd through the speakers.
Absolutely. And it paved the way for their subsequent studio albums like Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over. These albums solidified their place in rock history. But what's really interesting is how they've managed to keep that energy alive over the years.
Well, that's exactly what we're talking about with these digital avatars, isn't it? It's like they found a way to preserve that energy indefinitely.
You're spot on. It's a way to ensure that the Kiss experience lives on, even after the band members themselves have retired from live performances. But it does raise some interesting questions about the future of live music.
Like, what?
Well, think about it. If more bands follow Kiss's lead, could we see a future where virtual concerts become the norm? Where fans are paying to see digital recreations of their favorite artists, rather than the artists themselves?
Hmm, that's a thought provoking idea. Do you think fans will embrace it, though? There's something special about seeing a live performer in the flesh.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think it'll depend on how well these virtual concerts can capture the energy and spontaneity of a live show. But Kiss has always been about spectacle as much as music, so if anyone can make it work, it's them.
That's a good point. And I suppose for younger fans, it might be their only chance to experience something close to a live Kiss concert.
Exactly. And for older fans, it's a way to relive those memories. But let's not forget, Kiss isn't just about the music and the spectacle. They've had a huge impact on the business side of rock and roll, too.
Right? Well, that's what it sounds like. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Sure thing. Kiss essentially wrote the playbook on how to turn a rock band into a global brand. They've licensed their name and image for thousands of products, from action figures to credit cards. Gene Simmons, the band's bassist, once famously said, "God gives you a wallet and it's empty. You have to fill it yourself."
That's quite a quote. So they've really been entrepreneurs as much as musicians?
Absolutely. And that entrepreneurial spirit is still going strong. There's talk of a potential $300 million deal for their music catalog. It's an astronomical figure, but when you consider the impact Kiss has had on popular culture, it's not entirely surprising.
Wow. $300 million? dollars? That's incredible. It really puts into perspective just how valuable their legacy is.
It sure does. And speaking of legacy, let's not forget their influence on other artists. Countless bands have cited Kiss as an inspiration, not just musically, but in terms of showmanship and branding.
So, in a way, their impact goes far beyond just their own music and performances?
Exactly. They've shaped the very idea of what a rock band can be. And with this move into the digital realm, they're once again pushing the boundaries. It'll be fascinating to see how this plays out and whether other artists follow suit.
Well, it certainly seems like Kiss is determined to keep rocking and rolling all night, even in the digital age. Any final thoughts on what this means for the future of music?
I think it's a sign of things to come. As technology continues to advance, we're likely to see more innovative ways for artists to connect with fans and preserve their legacies. But at the end of the day, it's still about the music and the connection it creates. Whether it's through a live performance or a digital avatar, that's what will endure.
That's a great point to end on. It's clear that Kiss's impact on rock and roll is far from over, even as they transition into this new digital era.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, let's remember that Kiss has always been about pushing boundaries and creating larger than life experiences. Their move into the digital realm is just the latest chapter in a story that's been 50 years in the making. Who knows what the next 50 years will bring?